Thank you for coming to our, I think, about 10th Hug, HubSpot user group, the last one for 2019. Obviously a very good date because the whole world is resting while we're still working. But I really hope that you're having a relatively easy week, at least until projections for 2020 start or are expected. We're very, very happy you came today. We chose the topic of the event. Obviously, we're marketing people, so right, we have to talk about 2020. Like, you cannot do anything marketing related that doesn't talk about 2020. But it does. We do see the need for a shift in how marketing teams measure themselves and report outside on their achievements. And this is something that I will talk today briefly, and our guests will talk in a bit more depth about. But before we start, just a bit about us. So Marketing Envy, we are a HubSpot Platinum agency, helping tech companies marketing around the world with their, with the HubSpot needs, obviously, whether it's marketing, sales, or service, lead generation, inbound marketing, content writing services. And as part of what we're talking today is a lot about our experience and what we found to be working. So everything we say here, and also most of the presentations and all the presentations you'll hear are about actual things that worked for companies that you can take, hopefully, take some takeaways from them. Before we start, it's after all a good networking opportunity, and LinkedIn provided the best networking opportunity there is. So you feel free, turn on your LinkedIn app, go to network, and click on the button to add contacts, and you'll have near me. Within a minute, you'll all see, everyone near you actually, and able to send them a quick friend request to add people. So you'll actually have an idea who is here and who you can talk to. So let's take a few minutes to do that. I sometimes get feedback that this is half of the value that people get from the conferences, so it is very important. Okay, so now that you can feel like you've done your networking bit for the day and you can relax, feel accomplished, we can start with the learnings. So today, I'll speak a bit because everyone who knows me will tell you that I'm unable not to speak. And then we'll have Tamar Eshef from Converge, who is working was solely with HubSpot on their sales and marketing reporting, and she'll tell you how she does it and what are the best and most important KPIs to track results of your teams when you grow and when you want to grow fast, which is one of the most common questions we're getting. Romy Gakbaram from Sarin, one of the biggest Israeli tech companies, been around for 30 years, decided to go digital. And Romy will tell us how they're doing it and what's been working for them. Our own Josh Feigenbaum will talk about the things that everybody asks us and no one knows how to do in HubSpot. So if you ever wondered how to track offline meetings, if you ever wondered what are campaigns for, if you ever wondered a lot of these small things, we actually created processes for you that will make it very easy for you to go to your office and finally solve some of those burning issues that keep you awake at night. And Danielle Meller, co-founder of Infinigrow, will talk about attribution. So Infinigrow, that's what they do. They help companies who have HubSpot and Salesforce to attribute offline, online marketing results to actual revenue. And so we have a packed event today. I'll just get going then. So one of the biggest things that, and Danielle will excuse me, attribution actually sucks because, and this is pains from our own marketing experience. Attribution sucks because whatever we do, we fail. Like when you attribute nowadays, everybody wants, okay, show me what worked. Show me which channel worked. Attribute this deal to this channel, to this click. And the sad fact is that whatever we do, sales will never love the leads that we send them. unless those are the rare leads that came to the site out of nowhere, right? They never heard of us before. They just searched for something, found us, immediately signed for a demo, like this actually happens. And those leads will go to sales, and sales maybe love those. But most of the time, sales will bitch about our leads. Anyone here from sales? Well, you know it's true. And what happens is that we are so busy trying to prove that a certain channel works, that a certain lead is good, or that sales did not do the work with the leads, that we forget that we are not sales. We're marketing, and there's a reason that marketing exists as a separate function. And so no matter what we do, sales will grumble about the lead quality and will prioritize their own Rolodexes and their own leads they met in a conference. And also, it's always comfortable to pretend that the lead that just came to you in a conference and said, I heard about you, is not related to marketing work at all. They just came to them and wants to work with us without even, not giving any credit to the marketing work that's been done, because it's very hard to measure it. Direct traffic and brand searches will drive good leads. And they will drive good leads with companies that sales have already engaged with. But that doesn't mean that those engagements are worthless. And there is a lot of, we hear a lot of feedback that everybody in the organization find those engagements as worthless because, we talked to this guy a year ago, and now he probably just remembered us out of the nowhere, came to us and wants to talk to us again and close a deal. This just doesn't happen. It will always be hard to prove, sorry about the error there, the direct link between a channel and its ROI. So PPC, ROI, SEO, ROI, even webinars and ROI, even conferences and ROI are very hard to prove. You can prove a lead, you can prove an MQL, an SQL, even an opportunity, but in most CRMs, if someone else comes from the company that the decision maker and they're the one who signed, they will be attributed the opportunity and you won't get any credit for all the other leads from the company you brought. And unfortunately, we're going to know less, not more, about our audiences. With GDPR and other related, and I hope Daniel can talk a bit more about it, we know less. There's more and more direct. Did you all notice that there's more and more direct traffic? Did you all notice that people don't accept cookie tracking? Who has cookie tracking notification on the website? That's all? All right, so all of you, all the rest of you, we're going to get fines from the European Union one day. But seriously though, more and more websites do cookie acceptance and more people do not accept. HubSpot, without actually telling anyone. So I don't know if you know that, but HubSpot is kind of used as a tag container. It runs their own PPC tags. So you can run conversion tracking on Facebook, on Google, on LinkedIn from HubSpot. And you can run Google Analytics from HubSpot. But once you do that and people do not accept the cookies, HubSpot will not shoot those pixels because it's GDPR, right? Compliance. And so what happens is we have less and less data. And when we have less data and more people come from direct, it's very hard to measure the impact of different channels. Because even if someone came from PPC or came from an email, but chose not to accept cookie tracking, the systems will show him as direct. But the thing is, it's our fault. It's our fault as marketing people, and I'm sorry for taking the blame here for everyone, and I love to hear if you don't agree. It's our fault because we focus on short-term gains, because for some reason we are afraid to tell CEOs, to tell salespeople to let us do our job. And because every startup and every company and every big company now wants leads immediately because we need to close the quarter, and no one has patience for long-term work, which is the job of marketing. Marketing was always about creating brand, creating awareness, creating demand for the services, not to sell. And it's our fault because we say that we'll fulfill those expectations. Instead of saying we can't, we say we can, and then we fail to prove that we did, because we do. We just have a hard time showing it. And it's going to get harder. We focus on channels. We'll tell our CEOs, we tell our CMOs that PPC will work, and this is the money we need to PPC, this is the ROI it will get, that webinar will work, that publishing ads on publications will work, but then we can't track it and we can't prove it. Instead of focusing on the entire work we do, we focus on channels and want to show ROI for the channel. And lastly, we talk in dichotomies. We say, either organic search or PPC on search. We say either organic social or paid social. There's dichotomies, they don't work anymore. Everything is intertwined, everything has impact on everything else. And because we don't say that in advance when we start working, and because we don't create the right expectations, we set ourselves for failure. And this is what we notice again and again. Basically, and it's always nice to show a nice forest in the morning, but the message is clear. We're focusing on the trees too much. It's time to go back, look at the forest, look at marketing, look at our job, and measure it differently. Sadly, we have some solutions for the immediate term. The first thing is stop over-measuring yourself. Yes, we can make the most amazing dashboards that no one ever looks at. We can make, because if you go to the CEO, how many CEOs here will tell you, I don't care about how this worked and this worked, how much money did you bring the company? Did you get this? Yeah? And the reason is, what do you mean you don't care? You pay us to do marketing, not sales. Why am I attributing revenue? Attribute pipeline, that's fine. Attribute MQLs, SQLs, engagement. Since when does a CISO that just downloaded, any C-level, just download the content that you published, since when is this engagement is meaningless? And it is, you know how many leads, did it happen to you that you brought amazing leads for amazing people that just read, engaged with you, came back to the site, but because they didn't convert now, no one looks at them even. Since when is this engagement not worth anything? So the first thing is, stop feeding the short-term beast. Stop committing to short-term goals. Stop saying that in the short term you can make an impact. You can, and you will, and will work on how. But you cannot commit to show in 3 months from no activity to impact on sales, especially not when sales will take a year to finalize. The other thing is, and this is something that a lot of big companies are starting to do, especially the new ones. So we have your Deal Hub to do that, WalkMe do that, Panorace do that. They own everything. Because what happens today is that you get attribution but not ownership, right? If someone comes from this to the website just out of nowhere as direct traffic and converted, sales will say, oh, it's because we talked to them before. No. You own all digital traffic. You own all leads and conversations that came from conferences and events. You own them. They're marketing. They're attributed to marketing. Everything that came from conferences, everything that came from online is marketing, is attributed to marketing. Stop looking at the channels. And the funny thing is that you own those things. You own those channels, but yet you don't get attribution for them. It's time to start equalizing ownership and attribution. Engagement is as important as the first lead. And because the first lead is not the first click. The first click is important, but the second, the third, the fourth, and it takes up to 20 clicks, 25 clicks, 30 clicks to close the deal today. There is no more important or less important click. The attribution model that we like is spread even across. If you want something really, really interesting, do the first click and last click, give them a bit more, but at the end it doesn't matter. You need to drive as many engagements as possible. Yes, it makes our life very, very difficult. But why do companies, how many companies here, please raise your hand, we're all friends here, we're all in marketing. How many of you spend more than 10% on engagement and branding from your budget?
More than?
More than 10%. So what, we have 10 people here out of the room of 100 people? 10% spend more than 10%? Own it. Why not spend 50% on engagement and branding? What's so different between B2C to B2B, with all due respect? It's still about awareness and being in the right place and get people see you and know who you are. Since when this brand awareness became less important than the last click of bringing the lead? We've done it to ourselves. You will get negative ROI if you focus on your lead generation. I've seen it again and again and again. Only negative ROI. I'm telling you, absolutely, if your product that you're marketing, net worth yearly income is 50K above the size of the deal, and you do only lead generation, you will show negative ROI. If you tie it together, if you tie all the traffic that comes from online together, you will see positive ROI. and it's all related. Because how many of the, about 50% of the clicks will not be counted as clicks coming from PPC. Own everything. And the other thing is that we don't do is that marketing starts with the lead. It doesn't end with the lead. It's just a start. How many of you are actively working on nurturing your current leads? And wait, by actively I mean look at your nurturing KPIs once a day. 3 people. The most important thing you can do today is nurture existing leads. But no, everybody's focusing on bringing new leads. And this is why we fail. And when we engage those leads, they don't look as important as the new leads, right? Everybody does, oh, why are you keeping working, networking, marketing to the existing leads when you have new leads to bring? This is the job of sales, but sales will not do that because in order for sales to do nurturing, they need to call once a week to this person, create content for them, and engage them, which is a marketing job. And yes, if you have big enough leads, 50% of your time, not budget, time should be dedicated to nurturing. And so Marketing Envy has decided to have a 2020 year resolution. We are going to solve all your problems. Or at least we're going to try. And the reason I do that is because this year it's been burning. Billy and I have been, this issue has been burning within us. And we are going to attempt to come up with a framework that will allow marketers to not only measure, take a picture because we are committed here. We're going to measure true multi-channel impact. Not in terms of, what Daniel does. This is the company, this is what they do. We're not going to create a product that does it. We're just going to create a framework that allows you to start and look at your efforts and have something to start with. And we're going to do that based on our experience working with 50, 60 B2B tech companies that are targeting outside of Israel. We're going to start measuring correlations and not causations and not attribution. So, and again, feel free to disagree with me later, but correlation in the sense that, you know what? Here's something that even Google will not say to you anymore. Display in B2B works. There sit here in the room at least 2 people who, when we turn off display, show a 50% decrease in direct leads coming in. And you know what? Display brought no leads, no relevant leads, no pipeline, whoa. But it brought relevant people to come into the company and talk to us. Turn on a campaign, see what it does across all your channels. See what it does across all your conversion rates, steps in the funnel. Measure awareness with the KPIs that are right for you. If you want to measure content downloads as awareness, that's fine, but also look at what's happening within the platforms. How many clicks and engagements you're getting? How many website visits you get? Go back to measuring, but true measuring of the amount of time people on the site. And by true measuring, don't use Google Analytics because it doesn't really measure time on site. All right? Find other ways to do it with Tag Manager or HubSpot. There's a lot of ways to do that. But measure awareness, set KPIs, and stand behind them. Because a lot of marketing people, and we used to be like that as well, get a bit nervous when they come to their CEOs and tell them, I'm going to spend $20,000 a month on awareness and branding. And yes, no, it's going to get it, it's not going to get it. Come and say, this is what we need to do. This is the KPIs I'm looking forward to get. This is how you measure brand engagement. Measure it with more searches on your brand. Measure it with longer time of people staying on your website. Measure it with more content downloads. Okay? Measure it with more increase in engagement with your posts on social. But measure it and own it and be proud of it because this is our job as marketers. We are not lead providers. We are marketing people. 3 months is not enough to test.
How do you know if it's not working?
What's not working?
If you can't properly measure brand conversion, I'm thinking, are you speaking mostly about B2B?
Yeah, only B2B. I mean, it's people we're marketing to. I don't see the big difference in B2C to B2B. The only difference is that LinkedIn charges more for a click.
There's also the conversion.
Well, if I do conversion to content, it's 10%. If I do conversion in e-commerce, it could be 1 to 3. If I do conversion for demo, it's 0.5 to 1. So it's
The time frame, right? So attribution.
the close of the sale. Yeah, and the number of visits. That's a big change, yeah.
Right, because it's one thing to say that you should kind of measure your entire marketing activity together, which is true because if you own a business and you don't do any marketing, then no one's coming from any channel. Then if you put money here, then people come from there too, and it's still attributable to a different channel. right? So you want to look at everything holistically. But if you can't measure per channel, then you actually have no clue what's working and what's not. So
I'm not saying don't measure per channel. I'm saying don't be obsessed about attribution per channel. Measure per channel, of course, but each channel have their own KPIs, right? If you upload an ad, you need a proper CTR, you need a proper conversion rate for the first engagement, whether it's visit on the website or download the content or demo, you have your own KPIs. I'm talking about what happens afterwards when you try to attribute the $10,000 a month you spend on Google search and revenue that came in from closed won deals.
Just specifically for branded, right? So if you want to do, not branded search, but if you're having a branded sort of display Facebook, you'll get far fewer clicks on it. Really the only attribution you could do is look at maybe YouTube.
Yes, and I think Danny will talk about that as well, but view through is good, although it's miserably executed on LinkedIn, for example, because they only give 30 days when you should give 360 days. But this is exactly our issue. What if you did a LinkedIn campaign, and this is the other point, right? Run things not just for 1 month or two. You ran a campaign for 6 months. The campaigns didn't improve ROI. Like there's some good leads, there's some opportunities open, it's not conclusive, and everybody tells you after 3 months, stop. You need to look at other channels, what they did since you started the campaign. And, more brand searches. My CTR in search is up on all my... It's always an impact, though. Like, you always have to take in account seasonality and impact. I'll give you an example. We switched... can I say what? We switched from content ads to demo ads for Rotem and Deal Hub. And yes, it brings demos, but you know what else it brings more? Branding awareness. There's more awareness to all style, pain, this is your pain, solve it ads. There's more value in brand awareness, and we see more searches coming, more direct traffic, more searches coming on brand. So that's something we wouldn't know if we didn't look at other channels. Okay, I need to finish. So basically, 2 months, 3 months test is not a test. One webinar is not a test, okay? Test more, test for longer, and look at other channels and the impact. And then, when you look at tests, and this is like plain old statistics, if you want to see impact, sometimes instead of testing channel attribution, check audience attribution. And what I mean is, take one vertical, list of 50 companies, ABM, classic ABM, and do all your tests on them. And then see what's the impact on this vertical or this list of companies versus everyone else that you tried, that you didn't do those campaigns on. So that's something you can start tomorrow. Instead of focusing on per channel attribution, look at audience attribution. Look at all the activities you did for audience and see if they worked per that audience. That might be easier to measure. We're going to own this resolution. We're going to start releasing more and more content in 2020, and then Billy is looking at me with frightened eyes because at the end she does the writing. No, I'm kidding, together. But we're going to start releasing more things, and we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear what you thought. We'd love to hear if you have any questions, and do make sure that own us to this resolution. Let's have fun today. Thank you.